Well, from a canonical perspective, the Code of Canon Law, the Synod is mentioned twice. It refers to the Synod of Bishops, and then it also refers to a diocesan synod. But it's good just to remind us, and probably a lot of us know this, that the word synod is a Greek word. Syn, S-Y-N, means with or together, and hodos, H-O-D-O-S, is the second part of the Greek word, and it means path. So you put those two words together and you've got sort of walking together with each other, that sort of idea, walking along the same path or way. Now, synods have been around since the Acts of the Apostles, and refer to Acts chapter 15, the Council of Jerusalem. You could consider that possibly the first synod. And in the early church, synods or meetings or councils of bishops and clerics and lay people came together. But this word synod has become, in recent times, a more modern word. Well, a synod, whether it's the Synod of Bishops, which is worth explaining in a minute, or the diocesan synod, the difference between synod and plenary council. In the Code of Canon Law, plenary council comes under the technical term of particular council. Particular council, and there are two types of particular council. The first one is national, and that's the one we're having at the moment in Australia, plenary council. But you can also have a provincial council. So the ecclesiastical province, for example, New South Wales and the ACT, make up one province, and that's called a provincial council. Now, the plenary council is national, so it covers the territory of the Episcopal Conference of that country. The Synod of Bishops is the bishops gathered from the whole world, or representatives of those bishops anyway, gathered in Rome to discuss matters pertinent to the Church. The diocesan synod is made up of priests and lay people who would meet together for whatever time and discuss matters relevant to the local diocese and advise the bishop on matters which either he has raised or others have raised, which are important to the Church in that particular diocese at the time. Some of the early Church Fathers, such as Eusebius, Augustine. Augustine is the one credited with using the word plenary for the first time. And plenary means full, or everybody. And it meant all the bishops of a particular region or area. So Augustine, who was Bishop of Hippo in North Africa, he called bishops from that region together, and he called it a plenary council. Well, as we know, why Pope Francis is calling this next synod in this particular way is quite special to him and his way of seeing governance and authority work in the Church. Now, the hint, or the strong indication rather, is in the title of the Synod in 2023, which is for a synodal church, or a synodal church, whatever you prefer, for a synodal church, communion, participation and mission. Now, this is the 16th Synod of Bishops that's coming up in 2023. The first one was in 1967, and this is the Synod of Bishops inaugurated by now Pope St. Paul VI in 1965. In the modern era, this is the first time we've come again under the Synod of Bishops. Now, Pope Francis's idea is that he wants a very thorough consultation of the whole church. Now this is terribly ambitious, and it's going to be difficult. It hasn't been done before in the modern era, and hence the opening of the 2023 Synod on the 9th and 10th of October this year, with that special Mass in Rome, and the final part of the Synod being in October 2023. So the mechanisms for consulting the whole church throughout the world have been put in place, and they'll be taking place between now and October 2023, when the bishops formally meet in Rome. So why he should call this is part of his whole approach to the renewal of church life, and he's very enthusiastic about collaboration, co-responsibility, communion, evangelization, and mission. So these are the emphases he wants. So this is a very unusual Synod of Bishops, with his long lead time of consultation. And let's go back to the origins of the word, walking together. So the process has less emphasis on top-down authority, I suppose you could call it, being told what to do, and less emphasis on that, and rather more emphasis on how do we work out what each of us from our baptismal calling has to contribute to the good of the church. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're the Pope or whether you're the humble parish priest, or whether you're whoever you are. All the baptized are equal before God and the church. So we all have a view here. So the emphasis is going to that. Now that's going to be a difficult thing, because we're not used to it. We're not used to that. We're used to being, well, in sort of simple terms, being told what to do, and we accept it or we don't. We normally do. But this idea of talking together and collaboration and working it out and see where the Spirit is leading the church in all of that, that's the synodal process. But it's far more challenging, and hopefully the rewards will be far greater. Generally speaking, we're going to be consulted. The working document has been prepared, and that's going to be distributed, and I think we're supposed to have some responses as a national church to Rome by the end of February. But I'm not across the details of the timetable. But I imagine after that, then there'll be further consultations of national churches and dioceses and even parishes. Well, it's a very good question, and I think the major difficulty is a human one. Can we human beings sustain this process without getting frustrated or annoyed or running out of energy, those sort of things? Look, on a higher plane, I think the Holy Spirit will be there and will take care of things and all of that, but we can't live in the clouds all the time. And so there's going to be that human challenge from an energy point of view and a willingness to cooperate with the Pope and the work of the Spirit. But I would like to refer to three things that the Pope said in his opening homily a couple of weeks ago when in Rome. And he used the three verbs: encounter, listen, and discern. Now this is a very strong element of Jesuit spirituality and discernment. Of course, the Pope's a Jesuit. What would you expect? But here it is: encounter, listen, and discern. So encounter the other person with whom you're in dialogue, not just sitting next to them and saying hello and what's your name and all that, but rather more deeply, profoundly, as another person in sharing mission. So what does that other person bring to you? Then he used the word listen, and it wasn't just hearing. he talks about listening with the heart and not closing the heart to others, what they say, whether you agree or not, whether your position is far away from his or hers, that sort of thing. It's that openness to listen deeply to what another is saying. And the third thing he says then, when you do that, you encounter the other person, you put that together with some good listening, then you discern together and with others then what is happening, what is emerging here. And it may be in your favour, it may not be. It may be consensus, it may not be. It's a bit of a mystery how it turns out. So all of this can be humanly frustrating, and I think that's the biggest obstacle. On the other hand, as people of faith, we would be open to the working of the Spirit, and surely sort of, in a way, bow down to the movements of the Spirit in our church and welcome that. I'll refer to the Plenary Council because I am a member of the Plenary Council, and we had the first session there a few weeks ago, and our Parramatta representatives and members gathered together in Bethany Centre. Now, I approached this rather sceptically, to be honest, thinking that people would just talk and talk and talk, and I was keen to have some action. But the week was really more about talk and talk and talk. That's not putting it down, and it was necessary for that to happen. Now, from my personal experience, my frustration turned into a little bit of enlightenment. That's possible, because I could see that the structure of the Plenary Council, as the organisers here organise it, was a lot of prayer and reflection. So this I didn't expect, and it sort of pulled me up and made me stop and think about what I wanted. So here's an example of what's supposed to happen. What I wanted was action, straight away. What the Plenary Council was saying was, slow down. Let's listen to the Spirit. We listen to the Spirit, but what's the best way? Through the Bible. So there was plenty of daily biblical reflections, plenty of time for prayer, reflection, and sharing that with each other. Where is the Spirit moving? Now, I was a bit sceptical about that too, but I was sat on my tail because I could see how that worked quite well through that week. So that's the synodal process. You have to put sort of to one side your own prejudices and biases, and what you think is right, what I think was right, the way to go, the way I'd organise it. No, hang on, stop. Just see what everyone else is doing. Listen to the voice of the Spirit, challenging as that may be.